Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for being here today. My name is Rachel Spence, and I am the Public Programs Manager here at MoHi, and it is my honor to welcome you to Confronting Hate Together, the Power of Community. This is the kickoff to the Confronting Hate Together campaign, which is a coalitional partnership between the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, the Wing Luke Museum, and the Washington State Jewish Historical Society. There'll be more on that later, but I'm here to welcome you to the space. So first off, if you need the bathroom, it is in the cafe to the left past the deli case. Also, feel free to move as you need, and if you have anything you need, look for a friendly MoHi employee. You will see our name tags and badges. We're here to help you. And after the speaking portion, please stay around and join us in the atrium where we'll be doing poster making with the Vivid Matter Collective. So we've got a great day today. And as we ground ourselves in space, it's important that we acknowledge that here at MoHi, we are on the historic and contemporary lands and waters of the Duwamish, Suquamish, Muckleshoot, and all Coast Salish people. Historically, Native communities were forcefully removed from this city. And today we honor their continued endurance with deep respect and gratitude for their unbroken stewardship of this place. We encourage you to visit the websites of local tribes to learn more about the people whose land you are on. So today comes to us through an incredibly important institutional partnership that MoHi has had for close to 40 years with the Black Heritage Society of Washington State. We're trying to figure out beforehand how many years exactly it had been. It's almost 40. And MoHi is so grateful to get to work with BHS on many, many different projects, and it's very important to our work to be able to lift them up. So thank you for bringing us this program, and they're going to now tell more about the coalition's work. So I would love to introduce our first speaker, Carol Peoples-Proctor, who is Vice President at the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, where she works with a dedicated board of directors who are committed to upholding the Society's mission to preserve and share the history of Black people from across the region. Give a round of applause for Carol.
Good morning. This is such an awesome opportunity for us to show as communities to come together in love as we hear each other and listen deeply. I have the fortune to introduce our president. And Stephanie Johnson Tolliver is our leader, and probably many of you know her. She's that awesome. And Stephanie, I introduce you in love and community. Please come up.
Thank you, Carol. I didn't even pay you yet. Oh, gosh, it is really nice to be here today and see a full house. I'm really appreciative of the partnership with MoHi. As Rachel said, yeah, close to 40 years. And, I've always said they put a ring on it, right? So we are happy to share the repository space with them in Georgetown. And you can talk to us a little bit later, too, about how to get an appointment, make an appointment, and come on down and jump into the rabbit hole with us on a really beautiful treasure collection. But I am happy to welcome you to this program where we're going to listen and talk and respect all the diversity that I see in this room today, and to address the harm that we see and face in our local communities. Okay, I'm reading a little bit from a script because the other evening I went way off script. I see Ryan laughing in the room. He was at that event. So I think I told my whole life story and then got to the point of my keynote. So I won't do that today. So why confronting hate together? Confronting hate because it's been and is as relevant today as it was yesterday, last week, last month, and for decades, right? And together because we're in unity, we're locking arms, and all of this is out of respect, empathy, and understanding that is really difficult for us to ignore, particularly now, and hard to look away, right? So we don't want to deny any of that, and it is our superpower to be coming together in community. And I think this is my clicker. It looks pretty simple. Let's see. Ta-da! Loving our new logo, our logo in unity. The Black Heritage Society is here with partners at Mohi, and where Mohi embraces the legacies of all Washington people, Washington State, through the mission that they uphold. And we are here with our community partners at the Wing Luke Museum and the Washington State Jewish Historical Society. We stand in solidarity, and we have since Lisa Kranzler brought this idea to us. Not that we weren't standing in unity and solidarity prior to that, but she really began a rally for us to come together and to work on this initiative that is in the spirit of our humanity, that confronts the bias and bullying and intolerance and hate that harms and hurts us. So the partners will share why they are compelled to combat, challenge, and engage with call to action through a citywide campaign. Our guests today, too, are Lori Lynch. Hi, Lori. Education Director at No Place for Hate. It's an initiative for and by school-age youth who are taking the initiative, talking out loud, and supporting one another to address bias and bullying that affects their emotional, mental, and physical well-being. Ari Kent is the training and facilitation specialist at the national organization Right to Be. I don't know, some of you may have known them as Hollaback about 3 years ago. Yeah, they're a great organization who support and help navigate the call to action with bystander intervention and strategies. Ari is currently living in Atlanta, so he prepared a really beautiful message for us, great video, and we'll share that too in just a few minutes. Okay. Our partnership comes from within our communities who have historically united in our purpose to fight against inequities and harm by showing up and sounding out. You may recognize some of the people in these really wonderful photos that are from the Mohi collection, their digital collection. It was really difficult to decide on which images to select, but I think these really show a rally and march that is something that has happened historically here in Seattle. And then this is another set of slides. I love these too, and this is all about what we are talking about today, and it's nothing new, right? The rallying and building a united presence and pushing back against threats that attack our civil rights. They dehumanize, vandalize, and cause physical harm. It is a public demonstration and media attention that are the call to action. Ooh. Yeah, just got ahead of myself there. I was like, wait. In the African American community, the call to action is rooted in our culture, collective interaction that originated in sub-Saharan Africa, a call and response, right? And I know we've all heard of call and response, the action that requires a response. So today, the call is action. The response is now. Action now. Action now. Thank you. I have the honor of introducing our partners today. And to please see the thank yous that are along the side of this before I move on. The thank yous that are here today, because we had a number of people that came together to help put this program together. And I hope that in all of this we'll find time to appreciate the interns and the writers and other folks, the graphic artists that are working with us on this year-long campaign, because it's been a lot of work and effort, and a lot of it has been passionate work and volunteer effort. So we want to thank everyone there. But it is my honor to be able to introduce the partners today. And first up is Mimi Rawson and Nance Adler, board members at the Washington State Jewish Historical Society. Thank you, Mimi.
Thank you, Stephanie. Words of wisdom, and I love that action now. That's really great. As Stephanie said, my name is Mimi Rosen, and I am the board president of the Washington State Jewish Historical Society, and I'm so honored to be here today. Since we are the Washington State Jewish Historical Society, I thought I would take a minute to tell you a little bit about what we do and, of course, our history. Our mission is to preserve and present the history of Jewish life in Washington State. One of our main goals is to build bridges with communities by sharing our stories of our collective histories. Our roots date back to 1968, when the Seattle Jewish Archives Project began under the umbrella of the Women's Division of the Jewish Federation. Well over a year ago, our executive director, who Stephanie mentioned, Lisa Kranzler, came to our board and said that she wanted to do an exhibit on confronting hate and the power of community. She was inspired by the New York Historical Society exhibit. But more importantly, she wanted to do this collectively with other organizations and expand the exhibit to include our stories. She began discussions with the Black Heritage Society of Washington State and the Wing Luke Museum. And a little over a year later, here we are today. And how timely of a topic for an exhibit, when acts of anti-Semitism, anti-Asian hate, and anti-Black racial violence are not only continue to plague our communities and our nation, but are sadly on the rise. Education on the dangers of all these anti-sentiments is critical. And I believe just as critical is collectively connecting and uniting with other communities in fighting for a world with no hate. We can only do this together. As the past has taught us, together we are stronger. I want to take a quick moment to recognize our executive director, Lisa Kranzler, and our communications and exhibit curator, Kayla Boland, both of who could not be here today, as well as our editor, Jeff Schwager. And we have two amazing interns that are helping all three organizations, Shania Black and Leah Sauter. Leah's here today, but I don't believe Shania could make it. And I want to recognize our partners as well, the Black Heritage Society and the Wing Luke Museum. I have hope for our future when our communities unite and we teach our collective community about the strength and the possibility of no hate. An example of someone who is really doing this work is Nance Adler. Nance, she's affectionately referred to in my household as Hamora Nance. She is a current board member of the Washington State Jewish Historical Society, and she's a teacher at JDS, hence the word Hamora, which means teacher in Hebrew. She has made it her life mission to teach kids to be upstanders. I've asked her to take a moment to share some of her reflections, and she's also working on the Washington State Jewish Historical Society's portion of our exhibit for the big collective event, which is occurring on May 21st. Hamora Nance.
Thank you, Mimi. The American Jewish Committee's Confronting Hate program worked between 1938 and 1952 to combat prejudice and bigotry. Their first goal was to counter anti-Semitism, but they expanded their programming to include anti-Japanese sentiment in the wake of World War II and the incarceration of the Japanese Americans on the West Coast, and the ongoing racism toward the Black community. When the Washington State Jewish Historical Society considered bringing this exhibit to Seattle, we thought about the other communities that face the same restrictions and biases as our own. In Seattle, the practice of redlining, restricting who could live in an area, meant that our communities, Jews, Blacks, and Asians, often lived in the same areas because we couldn't live in others. The practice of writing exclusive language into the covenants of neighborhoods became most pronounced during the same time period that the Confronting Hate work of the AJC took place. Broadmoor had the earliest restrictive language in 1927, and the Lake Washington Garden neighborhood used language echoing Nazi terminology, no non-Aryans may live in this community, even in 1946. The shared experience of being excluded from social clubs, neighborhoods, swimming pools, and other venues means that our three communities know the importance of confronting hatred whenever and wherever we find it. And our collaboration is an outgrowth of this shared history. The AJC knew that education was needed, as well as working ways to introduce those unfamiliar with these three communities to them. They used a variety of media, including comic books, radio shows, broadcasting Jewish religious services from Europe, and a touring group of young women from these communities. They worked with trade unions, famous Americans like Judy Garland and Frank Sinatra, created radio shows and national contests for young people that taught that America was for all who lived here. Education is still the key to confronting and combating the ignorance that breeds bias and hatred. One way to introduce young people to the lives of others is through stories. Stories are universal. Stories are universal, and they allow us to find commonalities and connect to the shared humanity of other groups. Stories are also a powerful way to teach history in a way that humanizes facts and numbers and engages students in the lessons of the past. Washington State Jewish Historical Society has been collecting oral histories for decades, and these stories help to preserve the lives of Jews here in Washington State. In my classroom, history is taught as a tool to make the future better than the past was or the present is. My students do not memorize dates and names, but rather think critically about the events and the actions of those who lived through them. The darkest period of history have the most to teach us about how to respond to situations of prejudice, bigotry, violence, and oppression. When we look at those categories, these situations, we usually talk about three categories, which are on this slide here. Perpetrators, victims, and bystanders. We talk about innocent bystanders in these situations, those who witnessed the events and did nothing to harm, but also nothing to help. One of the lessons of the Holocaust is that there is no such thing as an innocent bystander. Choosing not to act is a choice, one that most often supports the oppressors. So what if we have a fourth category, another term to use for those who don't just witness persecution, but take action to stop it? An upstander is someone who takes action in a situation of oppression or persecution. I teach 2 units on the Holocaust in my classroom, one focusing on 1933 to 38 in Germany, and the other teaching about Jewish resistance and rescue by non-Jews. Both of these units are taught through the stories of those who lived through these times. The unit in 7th grade on the rise of Nazism in Germany in the 1930s is taught with the stated goal to show what the world looks like when it falls apart and for them to recognize those signs and know they need to act. The unit in 8th grade on rescue and resistance is taught with the goal to inspire my students to know that an individual absolutely can make a difference. Both are part of the work I do towards creating young people who will be upstanders. Telling the stories of those who faced oppression and hatred teaches our young people that our world needs to do better in treatment of minority and marginalized communities. My students not only learn about the Holocaust, they learn about the Japanese incarceration during World War II. This is a picture of us at the Bainbridge Island Memorial, as well as the Armenian and Rwandan genocides. My 7th graders participated in a semester-long simulation discussing the legacy of racism in the Confederacy while debating what should happen to the Confederate Memorial at Arlington National Cemetery. It was taken down in January, if you don't know the answer to that question. The Washington State Jewish Historical Society is proud to be partnering to be part of Confronting Hate Together. It is the role of a historical society to record the stories of what is happening now so that we can continue to use our experiences to both teach future community members from our missteps and to inspire them with our moments when we step up and move the world closer to justice. We are proud and honored to be partnering with the Black Heritage Society and the Wing Luke Museum to do this work. Thank you.
Thank you, Mimi, and Nance. That's a huge reminder. And wow, you know, can I come to your classroom? I'm just like, wait, that sounds so exciting. You know, because sometimes when you're in the classroom and you're jumping into history, you lose so many students, right? And when you can really you know, bring something that's relevant, something they can relate to today, the field trips. I mean, all of that is really wonderful. Thank you. Our next partner, and one of the best partners for BHS is at the Wing Luke Museum, and I'm really happy to introduce Cassie Chen, who is the Deputy Executive Director. Cassie. Love you.
Hi, everybody. Let me do this. Okay. First, thank you to the Museum of History and Industry for hosting us. Thanks to Stephanie, the Black Heritage Society of Washington State, for serving as the lead for this program. And so good to be here with the Washington State Jewish Historical Society as well. I definitely want to give thanks to the Seattle Department of Neighborhoods. I see the director, Jennifer Chow, is here. They're a lead sponsor for our project. And we also have members of our Wing Luke Museum team, Ellen Ferguson, who is our board co-chair, our staff members, Ethelyn, Shar, I think Ren, and then Steffi are here as well. And thank you too, and we've mentioned a number of other project members on our core team. We also have our lead writers, Jackie Peterson, Nance Adler, who you just heard from, and Leilani Nishime. So lots of good people coming together for this project. It was about a year ago that Stephanie, Lisa, and I met to talk about what our three organizations might do together. As history-based organizations and knowing the interconnections of our three communities historically in Seattle, Central District, and South End, what project could we work on to further our relationships and connections? What need could we meet and impact could we have? I suppose not shy of ambition, perhaps less about courage, maybe a little bit naivete, we thought, let's confront hate together. Although we started meeting much earlier, the example that I'll share today helps paint a picture of why we as the Wing Luke Museum have joined in this project. The need to confront hate is strong as ever. The aspiration to be able to do that together is hope. First, for some context, The Wing Luke Museum is located, as we know, in Seattle's Chinatown International District, which rose up in the early 1900s and is actually the city's third Chinatown, after the community had been pushed out from the previous two locations due to anti-Asian sentiments and public works projects. We're looking at a historic image of the museum's current site, the East Gunyik building, which was built in around 1910, when 170 Chinese American pioneers pooled their money to form the Gunyik Investment Company to build the new Chinatown, with the east and the west buildings forming the core, and Gunyik meaning for public benefit. In the area of exclusion, they created a place of belonging for their street-level import-export stores, residential spaces in the hotel rooms above, and places for their community organizations. Between the two East and West Gunyik buildings was an alleyway. They named it Canton Alley, referencing the major city Canton in Guangdong province in southern China, where most Chinese immigrants came from during this time. Along Canton Alley, they would put 6 family apartments where the second generation would grow up, a place of belonging for mothers and children to gather and play. On the left, you see a historic photo of Canton Alley, and on the right, you see a photo from one of our annual Canton Alley parties, just a small indication of how the Chinatown International District remains a place of belonging today. Imagine then the ripple effects throughout community when an individual came with a sledgehammer through Canton Alley at the East Gunyik building in the Chinatown International District this past fall on September 14th, spewing anti-Chinese sentiments. Hate manifested itself in a violent, destructive way. What would our response be? Following the hate crime, we centered 3 responses. 1, we lifted up the Chinese American Legacy Artwork Project, a community-led initiative to create a permanent and public artwork educating about Seattle's 1886 anti-Chinese riots, which had forcibly removed all of Chinese American community from Seattle, showing the deep legacy of anti-Asian, anti-immigrant sentiments with connections to today. The artwork is designed by artist Stuart Wong. It would be sited right on Alaskan Way between Main and Washington Streets, across from Pier 48, the same dock where the Chinese were forced onto a steamship out of the city. This sculpture includes 6 figures, 3 from those wanting to force the Chinese out, facing off with 3 Chinese Americans. Rather than showing the Chinese as victims fleeing, it shows them as abstracted figures with equal stature and weight, yet with the scales of justice not quite tipping in their favor. We also called for people to come home to the Chinatown International District. Come experience all of the amazing goodness that we have to offer, from our legacy restaurants with good eats to new places like Uncle Bob's Place right across from the museum. And finally, we centered the Confronting Hate Together project, knowing that this instance of hate was not isolated, whether within the Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander community, or within other marginalized communities subject to such attacks. That said, though, across all 3 initiatives that we centered, we wanted to do it from a position of strength, joy, and collectiveness, carrying forward lessons and experiences from the past to the present day. And this is especially manifested in the spirit of our Redlining Heritage Trail, which we had partnered with the Black Heritage Society of Washington State and a number of other organizations previously. And you see a group on the right on that trail. The trail is formed of 80 locations from Pioneer Square to the Chinatown International District to First Hill to the Central District. And it was a message less about what was done to us and more about how our community responded and built community together. Right now, temporary murals cover the broken windows in Canton Alley as we get things in line for our storefront repair. The murals were created by artists Sammy and Shay, and I wanted to close this sharing with their offer of wisdom as we continue to learn about what does it mean to confront hate together. They say, the pheasant brings a lullaby lesson. Be safe out there. Keep creating genuine expressions of yourselves and the environments you find yourself in. Stand up for yourselves over and over again and be true. The pheasant is a reminder that life is sacred and how that is the driving force for liberation. Here in Canton Alley, the pheasant comes as protector with strength and liberation. Its wings are made of many feathers, echoing that individuals are part of the collective, and with that comes strength. The vibrant, colorful dreamscape gives inspiration and hope, carrying into the dreams of the night. The artists also point out the importance of place within Canton Alley, in this case, amidst the hate crime. They say there is beauty that comes from healing the oppression and not looking away. We're more than the ways we are hurt. There is an active choice in how we respond as community, people who care for one another and our present histories. At the Wing Luke Museum, we create our exhibitions hand in hand with community members. The process of coming together, learning from one another, growing together, and building community has been equally, if not more valuable than what ends up on display. And I've been reminded that while the experience of this program, the upcoming pop-up exhibit, that's all important and impactful, the process of coming together itself to develop this project and to learn what it means and what it feels like to confront hate together with all of its challenges is just as, if not more, valuable. So I hope we'll be able to continue to learn and grow, to welcome and invite, and continue this journey together as we face this ambitious, maybe a little naive, but hopefully with a dose of courage as we come together on this journey together. Thank you.
Wow, thank you, Cassie. So just after the words from the partners, Cassie, Mimi, and Nance, I'm reminded of our communities and how we have this intersection of space and place where we shared the boundaries within the International District and Central Districts, and are really proud that we're all here in the same room together today. But this message is a citywide message, and thank you for bringing that home, Cassie. It is a citywide message, and all communities are facing the harm that we talk about today. One of the organizations, again, that has been working for a number of years is Right to Be, as they support and encourage people to stand up and take action, respond to this call to action, the action now, and the different ways that people can find their way and their space in that, their comfort level for how, they want to stand up. There are a number of ways, and so we want to share what Ari Kent has to say about that, and he sent us a video, so I hope I don't have control of that. Oh, I can't, oh, okay, I do? Oh, is there anything else I need to do with that? Oh, okay.
Hi everyone, my name is Ari Kent, and I'm a training and facilitation specialist here at Right to Be. And we are so honored to have been invited by the Black Heritage Society to be involved in today's event on confronting hate. Now, I myself have had to face and endure through hate, racism, and discrimination throughout most of my life, just as many of you have also experienced and endured. But it took years for me to realize how much these acts of hate had chipped away at my confidence, my sense of safety, and also my right to freedom. But I did discover that healing and freedom is possible. And I'm so grateful to be a part of an organization that is dedicated to helping others rediscover their natural right to be who and what they are. Here at Right to Be, our mission is to empower everyone to build a world that is free of harassment and filled with humanity. And we do this by offering free public trainings on various topics like bystander intervention, how to respond to harassment, conflict de-escalation, and resilience, as well as many other topics. And we have dozens of other training topics which can be customized to fit the needs of your workplace and organizations. We also do some community organizing and partnerships, and we have a special program called the Right to Be Youth Program, where we're focused on addressing bullying and harassment among young people. Now, it's through this work that we're empowering the next generation to live consciously, both with compassion and understanding, while taking a stand against disrespect and harassment. And so for those of you who are serving middle school and high school age youth, we invite you to join our list by going to righttobe.org/youth, and there you can learn more about our youth program. Now, we've trained over 2 million people worldwide in our methodology to recognize, intervene, and heal from harassment and violence. And so you see, we share a common goal here, and we're totally committed to ending hate and harassment in all of its forms. But I also think it's important that we acknowledge that confronting hate isn't always easy, and it's not always straightforward either. On one hand, this requires that we fully show up for others as well as ourselves. And on the other hand, we also face the risk of harm to our physical, mental, and emotional well-being. And so Right to Be is here to share a valuable tool called bystander intervention to show you how to safely intervene when you witness hate or harassment taking place.
The 5 Ds of bystander intervention. This time, distract. Draw attention away from the person harassing. Casually engage the person being harassed. Distract.
Hey, you! Why don't you take that thing off your head?
But I can't take it off.
What do you mean you can't take it off?
Well, you see, I believe...
You hiding something from security?
What should I do?
Pause and evaluate the situation.
You hiding something from security?
Indirectly, create a distraction to try to draw attention away from the person harassing.
Hey, did you finish the bio worksheet? Took me all night. I'm so stressed about the test tomorrow.
Oh yeah, I totally did. Number 7 was a real doozy.
Distract. Draw attention away from the person harassing. Engage person being harassed casually. Distract. The 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Delegate. Ask a person close by for help. Give specific requests. Delegate.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. You should go straight to the salad.
What I eat is none of your business.
Diet soda would be good for her, too.
What should I do?
Pause and evaluate the situation.
Diet soda would be good for her, too.
Activate others to assist you. Ask a person close by for help.
That woman in the back is being very disrespectful. Can you let the person in front go before me?
You got it. Thank you very much.
Delegate. Ask a person close by for help. Give specific requests. Delegate. The 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Document. Make sure someone is helping first. Keep your distance. Record date, time, and place. Ask person being harassed what to do with the documentation. Document.
You two are disgusting.
What do you mean?
Get out of my sight.
What should I do? Not in my town. This Tuesday at high noon, I'm taking you down.
From a safe distance, record the date, time, and place. Ask the person being harassed what to do with the documentation.
Are you all right? I documented what happened. Can I give you the video?
Document. Make sure someone is helping first. Keep your distance. Record date, time, and place. Ask the person being harassed what to do with the documentation. Document. The 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Delay. Check in after the incident is over. Offer to help. Share resources. Delay.
Okay, everyone, I decided we should move forward. I'd like to get your suggestions by tomorrow. Let's take 5 for coffee.
Listen, sweetie, being bossy isn't exactly attractive. What should I do?
Pause and evaluate the situation. Check in, offer to help, share resources.
That was completely inappropriate. I'm sorry he said that to you. I know of a non-profit hotline for this. Can I help you look for the phone number?
Delay. Check in after the incident is over. Offer to help. Share resources. Delay. The 5 Ds of bystander intervention. Let's focus on direct. Safety first. Speak firmly and clearly. Avoid arguing. Direct.
Hey, buddy, go back to where you came from.
I'm from here. Where are you from?
Oh, I'm from here. Where are you from?
I'm from Michigan.
No, where are you really from?
What should I do?
Pause and rethink what was said.
Where are you really from?
See what others are doing. Are your biases affecting how you see the situation? Is there a chance of physical altercation?
What kind of question is that? He said he was from Michigan. Now leave him alone. You okay?
Direct. Safety first. Speak firmly and clearly. Avoid arguing. Direct.
So just to give you a quick recap on our 5D methodology for bystander intervention, there's distract, delegate, document, delay, and direct. And oftentimes when people hear of bystander intervention, they assume that the direct approach is the only option. But as we've seen, the direct is only one of the 5Ds, and the other methods are more indirect forms of intervening that can be equally as effective. Now, we want to advise you to always put your safety first and trust your gut. If you don't feel safe intervening, see if you can use one of the indirect forms of intervention instead. At the very heart of bystander intervention, it's really the foundation of it all, is for all of us to internalize that we all play a role in creating safe public spaces for each other. And I was recently leading a training when somebody asked a very good question on this. They said, well, as a person of color, how can I be sure that my intervening won't work against me, especially if law enforcement is called to the scene? And this is a good question because we recognize that in our community, for people of color, members of the immigrant community, or members of the queer community, we all have different experiences with law enforcement. And so if the person who is a target of hate or harassment is a member of one of these communities, it's important to get their consent first before involving law enforcement. And if you yourself, who is intervening, is a member of these communities, then be sure to document the incident in full, along with using one of the other methods of bystander intervention. Now, as I mentioned earlier, we also offer training in conflict de-escalation, which is another crucial skill to have alongside with bystander intervention. And so we hope that these tools will serve you well on your journey, keeping you and others safe while confronting hate. Now, on behalf of everyone here at Right to Be, thanks again to the Black Heritage Society for inviting us to share. And we really appreciate all of the meaningful work that you do. And thanks to all of you who are participating today and for your courage and your dedication to making your communities and country a safer place to be. We wish you a very insightful event a day ahead and all the best. Thank you.
Okay, that was, thank you, Ari. Pretty graphic 5Ds. But I think we all understand that we can find a way in our own comfort, with our own comfort level, on how to address a situation that is really awkward, showing up in spaces. And I know that we all have probably been in that situation. I know I have, and you know, I've thought too about dunking somebody. But also understanding that and respecting the person who is being harmed in the process. So I hope these are really great takeaways for you. And then following up with Right to Be, if you feel like that's something that you'd like to do. They're very open and actually have some representation, not in Atlanta, but closer in Seattle. So please reach out. And this is really great. I'm excited about this introduction is to Lori Lynch, who I reached out to. Gosh, took me a while to get to you, Lori, but I'm so happy that I did. And Lori is the, I want to say the education director. Yes, education director for No Place for Hate. Really wonderful program that I just happened on this program for youth. And I'm happy that she's decided to come and talk to us today about particularly the bias and bullying that young people face. So thank you, Lori.
All right. Yes, so I am Lori Lynch. I use they and she, her pronouns. And I'm the education director for the Pacific Northwest Anti-Defamation League, specifically working with our K through 12 schools throughout the Pacific Northwest, Washington, Oregon, Idaho, Montana, and Alaska. And I'm going to talk to you about No Place for Hate and really how you can take this back to schools. One of the things we run into when dealing with schools is another program, another initiative, another thing, and they get really overwhelmed by adding another thing. So I like to talk about No Place for Hate as an umbrella that oftentimes will fit in the school in terms of what they're already doing to prevent bullying and hate from happening in their hallways. So what is No Place for Hate? No Place for Hate is a student-led initiative, and I really like to start with that, we know that when adults are talking to students, that we can make an impact, but really when students are talking to their peers, the impact is so much greater. And so we, with this initiative, really want the students to take the lead here, to be able to change their culture, right? To go from a culture that maybe people don't feel safe to a space where there are a set of values that the students are agreeing upon, and they're navigating their daily lives, holding each other accountable. So this is basically a school climate initiative, and I'm going to kind of go through the steps on how No Place for Hate is instituted in a school. So if you're a parent or an educator and you're like, I want to do this, I want to bring this to my school, you have an idea of how it is implemented. So the first step is register, right? We register yearly for our No Place for Hate schools, and what we ask a school to do once they register is to form a student committee. And some schools will form that through their student government. Some schools will form that through they'll open it up and say, whoever wants to be on a No Place for Hate committee, you can join. And so we have some No Place for Hate committees that have 10 students, and in other schools we have them that have 50 or 60 students on their committees. So it's really about what is going to work for the school. So step one, form a committee. Step two is we ask the students, and this is the part that I think gets a little tricky in schools, is that we really do want the students to lead the charge, right? That the adults in the room are just there to support and make happen. But really the students get to come up with the ideas, the students get to move things forward, because they will come up with ideas that are way better than what I will come up with, right? So the first thing they do is introduce our pledge. We have elementary school pledges, and then we also have middle and high school pledges. And this pledge is just introduce it to the whole school, that are set of values that we are going to abide by as a school community. An example of a really clever way that a school recently introduced this down in Portland, the students created a TikTok video and put it out through their school social media of introducing the pledge. And it was a way that they could be really accessible to their peers. And I just thought that that was just right on point of them being able to speak a language that I can't quite speak because I don't understand the ticker-tock. Step three, so this goes to that point around, we're looking for sustainable change, right? Post-ish, I say ish, pandemic, right? Coming back to school in person, things are challenging. Our social emotional learning for all of us is, maybe not where it would be if the pandemic hadn't happened. And we're seeing that, right? Our middle schoolers, social emotionally might be more at a 4th grade level, right? And it's not to their fault, it's just they didn't have to interact with other students, right? So we don't want the activity part to be overwhelming, right? So what we ask schools to do in their first year, we ask the committee to come up with one inclusive activity in the first year, just one. So you introduce the pledge, you do one activity, and then you're designated a No Place for Hate school, and we'll send you a banner at the end of the year, and it's really fun. Year 2, we ask for 2 activities. Year 3, we ask for 3, and all the years after that, we ask for 3. And it's every year they're renewing the charge, right? So every year they introduce a pledge again, every year they do the activities, and then they get another banner. And so we really want these activities to be about inclusion, belonging. We want these to be something where all the students are engaged and involved. We have a list of activities that are already approved that we encourage in the first couple of years going through those. But we also just, again, want the students to think about what are the things that are happening in your school. Not necessarily what are the things that are happening in the world. what is happening in your school so that you can deal right there, right at home. What are the things that we need to deal with? Some schools right now, cyberbullying is a big thing. So let's deal with that. Some schools, it's anti-trans, right? Things that are happening. So it's really about like, what are the things that are happening right now in your school? And let's look at how we can have a conversation and have dialogue about how to create safer spaces. And then we ask folks to document what did you do? How did it work? And to kind of reflect on the success of the program that they did. And once they submit that, then that's what our fancy banners look like. We send them out to the schools. We try to show up to as many schools as we can to present them to the schools so that they can hang it. And again, have this kind of reminder that we're here to create safer spaces for everyone. And you can go to noplaceforhate.org. That is the student-led initiative. And if you're interested in having this come to your student school or your neighborhood school, or just schools that maybe you have a connection with, you can always reach out to me at llynch@adl.org. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, Lori. See, I knew that was a cool program, right? And I'm wondering too, like organizations like BHS, how do we get involved and reach out? So I want to talk to you more about that and ideas that we have, that might be compatible with activities and learning with students. That would be awesome. Okay. We have a little bit of time. Why am I looking like, I never wear a watch. I'm like, let me see what time it is. Wait, I haven't worn a watch since 1970. So we have a little time, right, Rachel, for some Q&A. So if there's anything, Rachel has a mic over there, and if there's any questions, please, hands up or shout out. Or
We've got mics on either side, so raise your hand and we will find you so that everyone can hear.
Hi, Stephanie. Can you tell us a little bit about the event that's in May, the exhibition that is being worked on?
I think Cassie, how about? I mean, Cassie has been really wonderful in that, not only as a partner, but also the wing acting as the sponsor, the fiscal sponsor for us, and she's just really taken the lead in a huge way that, anyway, I just really appreciate her. So she's got some good info.
Before I dive into that, I mistakenly forgot one of our staff members who's also becoming another staff member here. Michaela is here too, so I wanted to note that. Sad and still in denial, but happy too for Mohai. Again, many thanks to the Seattle Department of Neighborhoods as well as for Culture. Our groups received support to do this initial project. It's a starting place, which includes being able to create a pop-up exhibit. It'll have kind of 10 panels from the original exhibit that Nance had shared about. And then it has 10 panels that is our response to that from our different community perspective. It'll be at the Wing Luke Museum towards the end of May, opening May 22nd after our launch event, and then through June. May, interestingly enough, is both Asian American, Native Hawaiian, Pacific Islander Heritage Month and Jewish Heritage Month. So we share the month, and we'll have that on display. After that, we hope to travel it to different places to really bring it out to community. We haven't figured that out quite yet, but the idea is, could it go to libraries? Could it go to schools? Could it be along different places in the redlining heritage trail or beyond? In addition to the pop-up exhibit, we're also doing a series of podcasts. So that will pair with it. There'll be, I think we're planning 4 podcasts, one that would share about the overall project across our 3 communities, and then also from the perspective of our individual communities, those other 3. And then ultimately, we do hope that all of this rich material will end up to be able to live on an online exhibition too, so it would last beyond that. Thanks.
Can everyone hear me? My question is, I appreciate that you're creating pop-up events that people go to, but have you thought about taking those pop-ups directly to the different neighborhoods that are impacted by hate?
Yes, that's the plan, right? We've been, meeting just about a year, and as the funding comes rolling in, thank you, Department of Neighborhoods, and For Culture and all these wonderful agencies that are supporting us. And so we are building out that idea, how this pop-up will travel. We're looking at, something easy with retractables. So it's easy to move and to be in spaces where there's relatively high traffic, but the panels remain safe. So I think to speak to what Cassie said, is libraries seem to be like a good space. I think we even talked about King Street Station. So we're open to ideas. So if you have ideas, please, throw them at us. Let us know.
Actually, in addition to what Moses is talking about, I'm currently a student and I go I'm on the east side of Seattle in the suburbs. Mm-hmm. And from my understanding, a lot of these organizations help out within the Seattle city area. And I was wondering what strategies you have to try and get this message out to the east side. Because at least I know in my experience, a lot of the hate that we're seeing is not well covered within those schools themselves. You may have an assembly where you hear someone talk, but they're not interactive, they're not direct, and I think especially at the smaller schools over there, there's just nothing there at all. And I was curious what kind of partnerships you'd be interested in, and if any, and then also strategies that you have.
Mm-hmm. All of them. All of them. This is the kind of energy that we're hoping for. Is that together, our 3 organizations are just saying, hey, everybody out there, if you want to talk about this, we can find ways to make it really comfortable to talk about it. Stand up, be bystanders, or not be bystanders, upstanders. And so I love your idea of, heading across the bridge, hated at 4:00, but yes, so the pop-up definitely, but also the podcasting that we're doing, maybe there's something kind of interesting we could do around that. We're still discussing how we're going to handle the interviews and excerpts of community voices. So thank you for saying that. That's
if there are partnerships and there are many people over there that would love to get in contact with you, and I can provide that.
Yeah, please. In any of the 3 partners, we're happy to take it. We meet weekly, sometimes twice a week, but it's all good.
Hello, Stephanie. I just want to say I'm the director of the Department of Neighborhoods, and I just want to say that it is an honor to be able to support this event. And it is an honor to be able to be in community. That is the joy of the work. So when this gentleman talked about how do we bring it to the neighborhoods, something that I would love to commit to within my authority is to work with other department heads to figure out then how do we bring it to the community centers that are in every neighborhood.
Yes.
That was Christian's idea. And then also, this is our staff here. they'll introduce themselves in a moment, but these are the people on the ground doing the work with community. I just get to the honor of funding. So with that, libraries, yes, community centers, so just throughout and we're across the city, right? So we would be able to reach and then figuring out how to partner across the bridge.
Oh, thank you. I love the idea of community centers. I love community centers, because it's attracts a huge generation of people, right? So, and that's what we would really want to do. Yeah. Okay. Oh, at the back. Oh. Hey, Marie.
Shall I go next? One of the things that I'm really interested in dealing with in all of this, since I'm on the board of MoHi, I'm also the chair emeritus of the Urban League and on the ADL's advisory board. All of those organizations can partner in all of this. And there are lists of people that are members of all of those organizations and that are involved. And if nothing else, that connection of the 3 organizations that are working on this, bringing the others will bring lots of people and a lot of understanding within the organizations in our city and in the region. So I would advise in all of this to not just partner, but to at least advise each one of these other organizations in what this exhibit is all about, so that we can all work together with a number of organizations and make this a very positive thing throughout the community and get excitement about No Place for Hate and for this exhibit.
Yeah, thank you, John. I see you. Yeah, that's great. I love the encouragement to work collectively. We all know that it's stronger. Our strength is in numbers, and so thank you for saying that and mentioning that. I appreciate you.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello, Marie Cadet.
Good morning or afternoon. I just wanted to ask, what is the hope of this platform for our young people? I think it's really important to always center them. The youth are the revolutionaries. It's wonderful to have all of us in here, but without their voices to be heard, and I think someone over there mentioned that, I don't see any real possibility of change. So my question to you and to your partners is, what is the hope for this platform for our kids?
Well, I know what I have to say about that, and I don't know if the other partners do. And Nance, I mean, you being there on the front line all the time with youth, but sometimes organizations and historical and cultural organizations like mine really struggle to bring young people in and be able to pass the baton, if you will, to the next generation to keep the societies and cultural organizations alive. But in this particular case, with this challenge and this combating hate and the bigotry and bullying is something that's really upfront in their faces every day. They look at the challenges in their neighborhoods and their communities, and it's real stuff like what Lori was talking about. And so I'm going to try to find ways, I know through BHS, and then we'll encourage it in our committee meetings to find the strategies to be able to, find more time and engage with young people. I really appreciate the comments of, moving outside of Seattle and to the east side and beyond. So while we're talking about this as a Seattle, King County community neighborhood engagement, this could go statewide. I mean, we have a message that, can go far, far beyond that. And Marie, you're absolutely right. What are we going to do? It's our call to action, right? And to be able to do that, so schools and community centers, libraries, all of it is our call and our response. So I don't know, Cassie or Nance, I want to say anything about that.
So I was just going to say, I think one of the things that's really powerful when I talked about how my students just don't learn Jewish history. They learn the history of Japanese Americans who were incarcerated. They learn the history of other genocides that have happened. We've done lots of stuff dealing with racism in the United States as well. And for my students, seeing the overlap of their history between these groups really riles them up. I think their indignation at what happened to the Japanese Americans is stronger than their indignation that happened to their own people. Like when I show them a government newsreel from the Japanese incarceration, they're like pounding their desks. They're so angry. So I think really sharing our shared histories and making young people aware of that will bring them together to work as a combined force to confront hatred and bigotry. When we realize that really we have a lot in common, not just our shared humanity, but also the biases that we face, like we'll want to work together. And instead of seeking to divide those communities, really seeking to find unity and a combined power in our young people. And it's what gives me hope every day is the young people. What I do makes me feel hopeful for the future. And like, how do we continue to build that in our young people, that sense of shared oppression and prejudice, and how do we want to fight back against it? Because it all comes from ignorance, and how do we fight that?
I'll just add two things. I also want, hopefully we'll elevate stories of how our communities in the past have come together to like work in coalition with one another. And what are those examples? I think in addition to just the erasure and not teaching about our individual communities, also, right, not being able to really see how our communities did build community together historically and continue to do that. So that's definitely a hope, but I want to be able to learn and be inspired from the youth. So the two artists' works that I shared on, Sammy and Shay, right, their wisdom, they were in our youth high school program. They joined on as our education guides at the Wing Luke Museum and our young artists themselves. So that's the spirit, because I think there's lots of wisdom that we can gather from the youth and all of their insights into what a good world could be.
Thank you. I don't have a question. Hi, Stephanie. Don't have a question, but an idea that you all can take or leave. But in response to Marie's question, I wonder what it might look like to put the podcast episodes on TikTok and just bring what you're already creating to platforms that youth and kids are on, as an elder millennial who's on TikTok a lot.
Yeah, the podcasting is, I the original campaign, I want to say 1937 to 1952. Yes, am I right? Am I right about that? Yeah, thank you, Jackie. My fact checker right there. Is that original campaign was a media campaign. It was something new at the time, right? It was newspapers, radio. So our cartooning, television was kind of a new thing, So we're taking some of that inspiration, and with the podcasting, kind of the radio piece and reaching out to people. So we have some ideas about what that podcasting might look like and within our communities. And I know that we've been talking, and I've been talking with Jackie Peterson and Jeff about what it looks like from the African American community. And we're really looking at broad voices and bringing young people to those podcasts, to the podcast, to give their vision and their ideas and how they push us. So I don't know, who knows? We might even get some additional funding to do more podcasting. Who knows? Yeah. And I know there's some really great organizations here in Seattle that work with youth, you're right, just specifically on podcasting. And we have great friends at Jack Straw too. I don't know if they're in the room, but they do that kind of work as well. So all sorts of opportunities are there. Right. I wanted to just add to what Cassie said about the youth and art, and you mentioned Shay. Is it Shay? Yes. He was, he's worked with BHS, and yeah, he's a fabulous artist. And he did the work in the alley. Oh, that's beautiful. That's really nice to know how, all of this community is coming together like that, and the names and young people that are out there doing the work. Are there any other questions?
Stephanie, sitting here being a lifelong Washingtonian, Seattleite, I want to thank you for what your organization is doing. I don't need that thing.
Yeah.
Could you please speak
Hear you
into the
loud
mic
and
so
clear.
it's on our recording? Thank you.
For the record, thank you. For the record. So Stephanie, being a lifelong Washingtonian, a Seattleite, I want to thank you for what you're doing. The Jewish community, the African American community, the Asian community. I mean, we're all in this together.
Yeah.
While ADL is a great organization, No Place for Hate is great. They also have lobbyists and other pieces that I'm sure that they would love to work together with all of the organizations together. I know I was a part of ADL for many years, and it is a thing that works with every group and every piece, and to make this more to the person over there, not just a Seattle issue. This is a statewide issue. I mean, obviously, Holocaust education last week, we tried to get that put into the Washington State Legislature. Some folks tried to get that put into every school in Washington. Unfortunately, it got turned down. And,
Been there.
Yeah, and I understand, right? So, this is a piece that needs to continue to be worked on, but I want to thank you and your organization for everything that you guys do.
Thank you so much for that, because all the encouragement and feeling the inspiration of it all is what keeps us going. I know at BHS we're an all-volunteer board and have been since 1977, so we understand and the passion in it. So I think that as many partnerships and people who want to come on board, we're happy and would welcome it. So we'll chat more about it. That'd be great.
Hi. I had a quick question. You've been talking about all these partnerships. I just wanted to know if you had any future plans or collaborations with any of the indigenous communities here in Seattle. I know I'm in a few of them, but I wanted to know if that was a possibility.
Right. I like that. I like that idea. That's something that we have talked about. And one of the things I'm really excited about, someone, I don't know, can I make this announcement about Marie coming and joining us? Possibly Kade, who has worked many hours with Waterfront Seattle and that whole effort, who will bring a lot of energy and that sort of partnership, I hope, and understanding around that to our committee. And it's a definite, yeah, for sure.
Yes,
no
hi.
doubt.
Oh, hi, Stephanie.
Hey.
This is me, Addie Marie. I hope, I want to take this opportunity, and don't know if I hope I'm in okay. I did a book that for kids called Skin Deep that I think would help. It's a poem about skin color that my grandson, when he was 8 years old, narrated. And I have some flyers here. If you hover over the QR code, you can hear the audio book. And I think that would help kids and adults better accept diversity.
Yeah, thank you, Addie. If you want to put them on that, we have a table over here that's handouts. And that would be great. Yeah, all resources work. Any other questions? And if not, gosh, well, thank you, everyone. But first, before I release you to the rest of your Saturday, I want to call your attention, and in passing, you probably passed the setup in the atrium with the Vivid Matter Collective. They're local artists who are open to, well, I should say they open our sensibilities and are artists of change. I don't know how many of you have seen that beautiful Black Lives Matter street mural on Capitol Hill, but they were very instrumental and led that charge and for that art and beyond. So the members are here today to lead some poster making activity. So we want you to join them in the atrium. They've done some silk screening in advance where you can select one of the silk screen images and build your own poster and your own expression for this call to action. So I have at it. And the really great thing about all of this too is that there is someone from the Wing Luke Museum. Steffi is here, or maybe she's out in the, oh, okay. And we'll be scanning some of the poster art with your permission. And we're hoping to be able to use that art in the upcoming May exhibition and the online, the digital exhibition. So have at it and sign away your poster rights and, have fun. So thank you so much for coming out today on behalf of BHS, the Wing, and Washington State Jewish Historical Society. Lori, thank you, and Ari. And Mohai, always the best host, the hostess with the mostest. Rachel, thank you so much. And all of the tech crew appreciating you every single time. So thank you, and have a great day.
And the person who did not get the thank you, Stephanie, thank you for being amazing and bringing this to us. We're so glad that we could host. Thank you to all the partners in this coalition.